All right, welcome to the Performance Rehab Authority podcast. Today we have Dr. Matt Shiver. He's an online business coach who helps clients add $10,000 to $20,000 a month to their business by helping them install a specific marketing and sales system. He teaches about conversational sales and social media strategies. And I love the verbiage that it's about turning strangers into clients that in a way that doesn't feel salesy. So welcome to the podcast, Matt. I'm glad to have you here today.
Thank you. No, I'm stoked to be here too. I know we connected maybe a couple weeks ago, and I really like you and your team, and there's just like a lot of synergy. And yeah, so I was really stoked that you invited me on. So thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
yeah, absolutely. I'm really pumped anytime we get the chance to talk to business owners. So tell me about your role within your business. What kind of sections do you manage? Because I know Roger and I have different strengths that we play to, and I know that you've grown.
Yeah, so right now, so I do business coaching. We help health coaches. We've got about a roster, about 150, 160 clients right now. So I'm just gonna like give context of where how the whole system works. And then there's really mainly three departments. We've got a fulfillment department, which is like a coaching department, which is all about the product, ensuring like quality assurance, all that stuff. So that has its own department. We have a sales department, and real quick before that, the fulfillment or coaching department, we've got three coaches, and then we have one person that manages those coaches. That's looking at their KPIs, looking at their quality performance. That person's responsible for all of, if there's anything that comes up where someone's like, "Oh, I'm not happy," that goes to that person. They handle all the billing, all that stuff. So that's one department we've got. The middle department would be sales. Our sales team right now, we just have one closer, and then we have two people who are appointment setters who are working the inbox, like in their DMs, emails, and text messages to invite people to calls where that closer just takes calls pretty much all day. And then marketing is really my role. So like I'd say, well, they're all still my role, but like marketing is where I spend most of my time. I do have some support from an agency and like video editors that help with content, but I'm creating all of my marketing content. So I really head the marketing department, and then I oversee the other departments. So like, I oversee the sales department. I review that closers calls, do quality assurance there, but I'm not attending the day-to-day meetings. Like they have daily stand-ups. I'll come to one a week. If I have to go to more because we're working on projects, I'll attend, but mainly the one sales closer we have for there can run the meeting and the agenda fine. And then same thing for fulfillment. I'll attend. They also have daily stand-ups. Systems are my thing. So when we get into this, we're like, wow, you got a lot of organization. Yes. For fulfillment, they also have daily stand-ups, and I'll come to two of those a week. And then the rest of them, the head coach will manage the rest of the meetings. So
Okay.
marketing is definitely my biggest play. Like I create a lot of content. I post at least like 4 times on Threads and Twitter a day, 2 YouTube videos a week, stuff like this, and making ads and stuff like that. So marketing keeps me busy for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with your team, is that virtual or are they meeting for meetings like in person ever?
All virtual. We do have like all my coaching staff, not all of them. We've got one guy who's actually international, but 3 out of the 4 people in that team are all in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
And they're actually pretty good close friends. I hired one of them, and then I realized that they all had a similar skill set. So I was like, let's just all hire all these guys.
That's awesome.
Could
So
be a
that
department.
everybody is cohesive.
Yeah, but no, everybody's online. So we just have daily stand-ups. So at the start of the day for the sales team, we meet at like 8:30 and just talk about what's on the books, what our goals are. And then the same thing for fulfillment. But because they're on West Coast time, they're meeting at like 9 or 10, which is closer to like 12 or 1 Central Eastern time.
Okay. Yeah. So with the team, so it started with you and that one person, or who was your first hire?
My first hire was an appointment setter. So someone to help me just on Instagram. So like helping me manage my inbox, because as you start running ads and as you start making content, you'll start to get more followers, more leads coming in. And at the time I was focused on all the things. I was taking the sales calls, I was coaching my clients, and typically the coaching is is calls with clients, right? And then also posting content. So I didn't have a lot of time and bandwidth to be able to respond to messages and book calls. So my first hire was somebody to help me with that department outside of like, a video editor. Cause I got a video editor pretty early on because they're, 15, they were at the time, like 15, 20 bucks a video. Now they're like 25, 30 bucks a video, but I wouldn't really count that as like a team member. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
the first appointment setter that I hired was like, they're working 4 hours a day for the business. So
Yeah, it's crazy to wear all the hats and then you have somebody who can help you, but you're still wearing all of that. You're onboarding, you're training somebody, you're helping guide them, and then now you're also learning leadership. And so it seems like all that's gone well as your team has continued to expand.
yeah, it's going. I mean, we learn every day. Every day I'm learning, So I will be the first to say that I don't have it all figured out, but I'm very proud of like where the team has came, like especially because I started building this team probably a year and a half ago. Before that, I was doing a lot more freelancing work. I was doing a lot more done for you stuff. So it's been pretty fast since we've been able to have a team of 7 or 8 people ish plus me, and it feels really good.
So you said most of what you're doing now has been like the marketing and the content building. And it seems like that's also what you're passionate about. And that's what I've seen you speak a lot on lately. So what does your day-to-day look like right now?
Oh man, this is fun. Yeah, so every day I try to make it pretty similar, except for Tuesdays. So Tuesdays are my content days. So today's Tuesday, we're filming this. I'll start with Tuesday and I'll talk about the rest of the week because I think that can kind of like help. Tuesdays are a content day because I just work online. I don't do any patient care anymore. I rely on posting a lot of content and creating a lot of content. So I repurpose a lot too. So it's not like whenever like I post about 70 to 75 pieces of content a week, which may sound crazy, but really like it does come down to like maybe 20 pieces of content that I create in the mornings, which we'll talk about in a second. And then I'll just repurpose that in multiple different ways on multiple different platforms. So on Tuesdays, my Tuesdays, most days I try to wake up around like 5 to 5:30, at least before 6. I'll journal first thing in the morning. And then right after that, I actually like to get a lot of my like busy work tasks done first, like admin, checking things. So I'll do that at like 6 a.m. until 6:30. And then if it's a Tuesday, I'll come back to Tuesday. That day is pretty much all content. So I'll start off the day there by writing some Twitter posts or thread posts, which I do that every day, but Tuesday I do as well. And then right after I finish that, I'll roll into like filming 2 YouTube videos, which I've already scripted out. If I could go so deep, I've already scripted out, and I script those out on like Thursdays or Fridays. But I'll film 2 YouTube videos during that day. I'll film any ads, any like reels, anything that needs to be like have a nice camera. Like right now it's hooked up. I'll just film them all on Tuesdays. So that allows me to get, at least a week, if not 2 or 3 weeks of content, like just knocked out in that time period. And then Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is more running the business. Now I still like to like journal in the morning. I still write those like Twitter or thread posts. Like I write 4 of them in like 30 minutes in the morning. That actually really gives me most of my content ideas for filming and all that stuff. Like I made a few YouTube videos about that, but I love that. I actually realized that I like to write. So if you follow me on Instagram too, you'll see that a lot of my content on Instagram is just like Twitter posts or their Twitter carousels. And it's because like I like to write. I don't like necessarily, I like getting in front of like a long form video on YouTube, but reels and that stuff like don't really excite me that much. So every day I start off the day journaling, writing those thread posts. And then on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from like, let's say 7 a.m. until noon, are times for me just to do deep work. So I try not to have any calls scheduled during that time period. That could be like, fixing things that are broken, which could be like a sales funnel. It could be an email series. It could be writing emails. It's still kind of marketing heavy during that time period. Really, it's like a lot of marketing stuff is still done that time, but it's not necessarily the content creation of marketing. It could be, in that time block, I'm scripting out YouTube videos. It could be I'm writing ads. It could be I'm researching content, right? So like a big part of my morning is just that, is like spending time marketing, or it could also be building systems and automations and stuff for the other departments. But it is working on the business, like deep work, uninterrupted stuff from like 6 until 12, plus or minus. I might go to the gym or something like that. But I try to get like that time is like to work on projects. And then around 12:30 is when that switches. So I typically have my calls that'll start then. And then the day will end when the calls are over. Mondays are a really long day. I won't finish until like 6:30 or 7. But Tuesdays, I typically don't have calls. Like I'll do interviews like this, but I won't do any calls. And then same thing for Fridays. I'll go networking and stuff, but I won't do calls. So I'll take my calls on Tuesday. No, sorry, on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And my goal is to be done by calls and stuff by like 5, like 4 or 5, just depending on the day. So yeah, that's like a full day. I mean, there's definitely like versions of it. And I don't always work all day. Like, holy cow, you wake up at 5 and you work until 5. That seems crazy. It's like, some days, some days if I have a lot on my plate, like I will do that. But there's also other days where, in between meetings, I'll spend an hour outside just walking the dog.
Yeah. Well, it's also crazy how quickly the time can go when you just get immersed into a project and next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock and you're like, oh, I should probably be done for the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And sometimes I might go after 5 a little bit. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm down for dinner soon, but I'm just like having fun. I'm playing. And yes, you lose track of time for sure.
Yeah. So what you said made a number of things kind of pop up in my head that I wanted to touch on. One was on that you get admin tasks done first thing in the morning. And I think that's so because everybody has a different period of maybe when they have the most like peak brain activity. So I like for me, I like to do those later in the morning, maybe once I've kind of hit a wall and I can't like focus on projects. And I know for a lot of people, they're checking boxes first or they're saving those. So I thought that was really interesting that you like to get your admin tasks done first thing in the morning because that will distract me and I'll just end up doing admin for hours and hours and hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There's something about having a long list of to-dos. And if I can get like, let's just say I start work at 6 a.m. and if I'm able to get like in 30 to 60 minutes of uninterrupted stuff, get like most of those to-do lists done. And I'm like, cool, it's now 6 or 7 a.m. I don't have calls until noon. What do I want to create now? And then I can kind of like, it's kind of like a warm-up period, like I'm going to do a bunch of reps to get a nice little pump. And now I feel good. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
how it works for me.
Yeah. Well, I've seen, are you familiar with like Andy Frisella?
Yeah, I know of him. I don't like watch his content, but I know of him.
I've heard so I've listened to some of his content. He talks about like the power list and getting like 5 things done throughout the day. And so I see that too with like because at a certain point, like you can't finish your whole to-do list. So it's like, okay, well, if I finish all these things, I'm gonna feel efficient and I can like move on to the next thing. That's the other thing too. When you get them done earlier, you're probably also like getting things done to support your team at the beginning of the day because they're also presumptuously like waiting on you to do things because I know some of the things that I do have an effect on my team members.
Yeah, it's nice to like if I can get some of those things done, I can task out things too in the morning. So like for the person who's head of fulfillment for us, like I'll give her a bulleted list of like, hey, just I finished X, Y, and Z. Here are the 5 things I need you to do today. And in addition, like if she's got like normal tasks, but that allows me to be like, all right, cool. I've set the assignments for the day. I can go do whatever I want today as long as these get done. And throughout the afternoon is when I'll spend time just like responding to my coaches and my clients.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that you said too was that some of the it was just about repurposing content. And I think maybe that's something that especially when I guess people are beginning getting into content, like you don't realize how much you can repurpose things. And I'm still shocked at how much you can re-edit or include things. So like what ways are you repurposing your content?
Yeah. So I start off on most of my days, like I said, writing like I write typically 4 Twitter posts, and I don't have a big following on Twitter at all. The reason I start on Twitter is because a lot of my content on Instagram, like I said, is Twitter style. And I have a free plugin that I use that just copies the Twitter post and turns it into an Instagram post. And I that's the only reason I post on Twitter. So I have like 200 followers on Twitter. I just use it because once it's done, and once one I can schedule on Twitter. Like there's certain apps that integrate to schedule on Twitter, so I can schedule the posts, and then immediately when they're posted, I can use a software that will turn it into an Instagram post, and that works really well for me. So I always write those first, and then my VAs will then, when those get posted, they will then post them manually onto Threads. And I've seen a lot of traction on Threads. Like I just started posting on it probably like in April, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, like April. And I've already like had a couple hundred people like opt into my free training, my lead magnet and stuff like that without just posting it. I'm not engaging on anything. I just post it. That's crazy. Like I've had a couple posts go, I don't know, viral for Threads, and I don't think the quality is very good. I've only made like one sale off of it, but I do like seeing like the audience. It's kind of fun to watch like your audience get built. So I am noticing that has a lot higher of a chance of getting reach than like Twitter does. Twitter, I just post and I stay right around 200 followers, but I'll probably gain like 20 to 50 followers a day on Threads. So that's just like a one-to-one post, right? I schedule them out every morning in 30 minutes. And then my team, my VAs will post it manually. We just got like a zap that gets sent to them. It's like, hey, this post was just made, go copy and paste it, right? And they'll post it. So that alone right there is like, 8 posts. So there's 4 on Twitter, 4 on Threads, and those go out. So there's 8 there a day. And then and then I post on Instagram once a day. But what I typically do for Instagram is how I repurpose. If I wrote 4 threads or 4 Twitter posts a week, and let's say I do that for 5 days, there's 20 posts right there. And like I already shared, like that, I have a simple tool that I'll just go and copy and paste the URL, and it will create it into an Instagram post. So if I have 20 posts right there, my team, I do have some people helping me in the marketing department, like a lot of VAs and stuff. But I have someone from my team who will though go and look and say, we look at Threads because it has more engagement. And we'll be like, hey, here out of the 20 posts you made, here are the 5 or so that did the best. And I'm like, cool, let's turn those ones into Instagram posts. So then I'll turn those into Instagram posts and post them the next week. And some of them, if they're good enough, I'll also turn them into a reel. So on Tuesdays when I film, I'll film, like if I had 20 of them, maybe 3 or 4 of them are good enough or good for a video. I'll use those for a video. And sometimes even the threads, which are like, those turn into carousel posts. If they're meaty enough of like, here's the 5 steps to do blank, like, cool, I'm gonna do a YouTube video on that. That's really easy. So it's like, and most of my YouTube videos are just like, hook, hey, here's this thing, I'm gonna show you how to do it. And then we just go through the bullets,
And then you do it.
So I can get a lot out in 30 minutes a day, first thing in the morning, just by like writing some Twitter posts. It kind of right now, that's what's fueled all my content. And I also know typically for Instagram and stuff, if it does well in Threads, or if it does, at this point, I know if it's going to do well or not when I post it on Instagram. So that feels good.
Yeah, that's so time efficient too. Like so when I first started my clinic, or my clinic before I partnered with Roger, I would just like take little downtime in the clinic and like make a reel based on some audio that was trending. And then, I mean, you can waste 30 minutes doing something like that, and then multiple times a week. Whereas if you do the things that you're talking about, like organizing the content, prepping, researching, writing scripts, you can hammer out so much more. And then not to mention, like, it's a really good strategy to actually use the data and the analytics of what's performing well, because there's a lot of things that if you just like make something in the moment based on whatever you're thinking about, or something that someone said, like things like that could perform well, but a lot of times it may just be a flop.
Yeah, and I try to like have like in the mornings when I do write some of those Twitter posts or thread posts, like a lot of it will be off of like what I'm inspired by that day, but a lot of it is like I don't have anything. So then the tool that I use for that, it's called I mean, I could go into all this stuff. Like I think it's called Hype Fury is what I'm currently using, and it'll just give you like other posts. It's like on the platform, it'll give you other Twitter posts have done well, I like looking at the structure of things. So it's like hook, something, bullets that are listed this way. So I'm like, cool, I like that structure. I'm just gonna copy the structure and then turn in and replace everything. But I like the structure of that. So like I'll just see something that I like, and then I'll just move it over, and I'm using something that's already proven to have done well versus like starting from scratch. So that's really time efficient, like the writing is.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I will say, like for some of the YouTube videos, those do require research outside of that time, like for looking for thumbnails and like titles and stuff for those. So those do take a little bit more time than like just that. But most people like who are probably listening to this, like they don't need the YouTube, they don't need a lot of it, like they or even the Twitter, like they really just like kind of boil it down as like, can you be consistent on one platform? And for most people, it's like Instagram works the best because you've got the messenger feature there. So every time you get a new follower or every time you get someone who's engaging in your content, like you can connect with that person, right? So where YouTube, I can't. I mean, we've made sales off YouTube, but it's taken a lot longer to build that. Like I just got monetized after posting for 16 months, and we pay an editor, we pay all these things, and we haven't quote unquote made money directly from YouTube, but I know it's done a lot for the brand. I also know it's done a lot for like people who find us on Instagram. They will go spend time watching us on YouTube before they decide, do I want to invest in mentorship? Because mentorship's a lot of one-on-one, it's a lot of interaction. So it's like, I want to get that feeling from you before I invest, especially for more business coaching with this a little bit more like strategy. It's kind of more heady versus some of the more health type stuff. Like health type stuff, just focus on Instagram. And then like you can add that stuff later. But for most people, if you're doing under 20, 30K a month, you could just stick on Instagram and just optimize that.
Yeah. So so let's look at those people. Would you say that they should be focused on like their on building from their personal brand or from say their clinic brand?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. It can go either way. So it depends on what the person wants to do long term, right? What's the long term strategy of the person? Is the long term strategy of the person to be a solopreneur, or do they want to have like two or three staff? Or do they want to build a business or a brand that has like enterprise value that they could exit at some point? Right. Like if I want to build something that I want to exit one day, which is, essentially sell my shares of, then I need to have, I need to be a faceless brand, right? Like I can't sell something if it's like my brand right now is not sellable. It's Matt Shiver Consulting is mattshiver.com is my URL. It's all around me. So like this business is, in the way that it currently stands, is not a sellable or exitable business. But I don't really plan to sell a coaching or consulting business. So that's not in the cards for me. So I do want to build a personal brand because I know that if I build a personal brand, it's going to open up a lot more doors for me for other ventures in the future. Coming back to the clinic owner, like if you're a clinic owner and you don't want to be the face of the brand, you don't want to build a personal brand, then you don't need to. You can absolutely just stick to promoting the clinic and promoting the different faces that are in the clinic and the personalities there, and then you can do it like really well. So the answer is it depends, just like with everything, but it really comes down to like the vision of the owner.
There's definitely benefits to both sides of things. The funny thing is that when I first started out, I made an Instagram account for everything. So like I wasted so many, nobody told me when to stop. I was like, I have 5 Instagram accounts. It was disgusting. So now I'm down to 1, and then we have our clinic page as well. But yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely the benefit to personal branding depending on the goals and where you want to take it, particularly with the business. But like with Move Athletics, that's something that like we want to transition into being more of a faceless brand where Roger's reputation or Roger's face isn't associated with it, or my face isn't associated with it. When we're looking at content, where would you say most people are going wrong when they're making it? Because most people are on Instagram, and you
Yeah.
said that you know for most places they could just start out on Instagram. So like what's the disconnect?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I'll just say for the PTs out there and just the rehab professionals, it's dumbing it down. Like even dumbing it down into a very simple thing. Hey, it does if your knee hurts, here's a quick tip, right? Or here's something you can do, or something that's like, if you're experiencing this thing, this pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, back pain, here's a quick tip to help, right? And giving some sort of value. Sometimes we like to use words like, talk about specific muscle groups or specific movement patterns or internal external rotation. Even that, which seems so simple, will start to lose people. Shoulder flexion, knee extension, simpler. Does your knee hurt right here? Like legit, if you're doing a video, just like point to it. Does your knee hurt right here? Cool. Do this and tell me how it feels after. Like, again, we're not trying to like fix people on Instagram, right? But we're trying to give them valuable tips of like, okay, cool. Can I try this? And does it give me a little bit of relief? Great. Or is it educational, but meeting them where they're at? I know when I started creating content for Instagram when I was in PT school, I guess because I was like, I'm gonna start in PT school. So I was creating content and posting it, and it was so bad. But it was just because I didn't know. And I went through that phase of trying to sound smart, and nobody cares. um, what they care about is they care that they there's a few things they care about. Like they don't care about their knowledge as much as they care about like that you care, and also that you're fun, right? And I think a lot of people will, in PTs particularly, like they use that complex language and they also are too serious, right? And if you can lighten up and just show people that like you're going to work with a human and the human's like really fun to work with and light, that's what people want, especially if they're in pain. Like they don't want to go to somebody that's just going to be boom, 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 like just super firm. I mean, maybe some people do, but I think a lot of them they want someone who can listen, who's playful, who's like them. Like them's a big part. So not using big words and then also just showcasing your personality.
Yeah, I think that makes it a huge just experience difference. So then when we're looking at things like automation and systems, like those are a huge part of business, but how do you still integrate, at least in your business, like keeping things lighthearted and fun and hey, I'm a human, I'm not a bot, while also still having those things in the process.
Yeah, that's a good question. Now you can't have especially if you're selling anything that's like high ticket, which if you're doing physical therapy or anything like that, like you're probably selling packages, whether you're insurance or not. Most of your deals are still going to be over $1,000. So you're still selling somewhat high ticket, whether you know it or not. Our stuff, there's always at least for us, there's always a personal touch to it. So like you're always going to talk to a human, right? We still use automation and systems to like send emails, the broadcast emails, and even like when someone opts into a freebie or a lead magnet, they're going to get hit with initial automation email or like text messages or DMs. And then once someone responds, it goes to a human. So I've never been a fan of like using like mini chat or some of those other systems to try to like do the entire process of like, lead comes in, book them, thank them for purchase, like just too robotic, right? So it's like, if you can build a system that uses that to start the conversation or start the process, and then once a human engages, like which should be the lead, then a human should take over. And the human that's taking over on the teams, like for us, it's not always me, right? Like I don't have time to answer all the emails and messages and stuff like that. And that's where it's important that you bring on a team of people that have the same values as you do, right? And that are similar. So like even my sales team, I'm pretty lighthearted. So like we don't have any aggressive salespeople on my team. We just don't. And I don't want to hire anybody as an aggressive salesperson that's going to be like, you must make a decision or blah blah blah, because this is not me. It would be so weird if like somebody like sometimes my team will say, Matt, you have golden retriever energy. I'm like, oh, thank you. But like if that's what the energy is that people perceive, or my team perceives me to have, and then they get on the phone with a pit bull, I'm like, what is going on? You know what I mean? So a lot of it does have to match like the people you bring onto your team and how you train them, and the culture that you set will dictate that. And once you're in high ticket two, a lot of those people if you're running like a low ticket offer, everything can be systematized and automated, but like systems as a whole, like I started to, when I first started getting in business, everything was low ticket for me. And then I moved to high ticket, but I realized that like systems isn't just like tech and automations and all of that. Like systems at its core really is like creating a process and holding accountability to that process. And people are typically part of systems, and well, can be part of systems, and they typically are when you're selling an offer that's priced at $1,000 more. So yeah, it comes down to just like creating a strong culture and just finding people whose values align with yours.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. It's culture is one of the most important things in a team, and like that's also how everybody just meshes and vibes together. One thing I did want to talk about, and you've talked about or you brought up lead magnet a couple of times, and so for anybody who doesn't know, Matt has a lead magnet that helps people with their Instagram ads, Facebook
Yeah,
ads, both.
Facebook and Instagram. It's kind of more biased toward Instagram for sure, but yeah.
Yeah. So with lead magnets, it allows somebody to spend so much more time around that energy and obtaining value. And so I think from the outside, so I downloaded yours and I thought it was great. And I actually felt the energy and I was like, oh, wow, like Matt's a really cool person, because there's a lot of video content on there. And I think for a lot of people, like maybe a lead magnet is just a PDF, but that does not provide the same value as like logging in, watching somebody, like metaphorically, like spending time with them. But like you don't get the same feeling that you would from downloading a PDF, or that you would from like it creates more and more congruency with, they see that's how you are when you're on Instagram, that's how you are in your lead magnet, that's how your sales team is. And so it just creates just a lot of congruency, I think.
Yeah, I love that. There's even a study too. Something came up as you shared that. Like Google put out a study that, I don't know the study, but they put out some sort of statistic that, the average person needs to spend about 7 hours of time, like especially in the online space. Now, brick and mortar can be a little bit different, especially if someone's in a lot of pain, like physical pain. They don't need to spend 7 hours. It helps, but they don't need that. Like if they're in pain, they're going to be looking for a solution pretty quick. But with the online space, if anybody here is getting into that space, like it typically takes about 7 hours before someone decides to make a purchase. So if I give you a lead magnet that is like that lead magnet itself has got at least 4 hours of content in there, that's going to do a lot of that nurturing like for me. Right. And then my YouTube channel also does, I've been trying to make my YouTube videos like 40, 50 minutes now. But again, it's like how if somebody watches that full way all the way through, like,
Yeah.
they're like they're doing good. They like me.
You're developing a relationship. Yeah.
So yeah, so even like the lead magnets that I run now, or if any of my clients says, "Hey, I've got a PDF," I'm like, "Great." You're also going to make a video going over the PDF, and you're going to tell them it's really important for them to watch the video to learn how to use it, because video is such a powerful tool to use to get to know somebody. And yeah, like you said, to feel them out. And people who kind of hide behind that and don't talk and don't show their face and stuff, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, I want to give this guy money to help me. I just may not feel as trustworthy if somebody can't like show their face and talk, and I can hear their voice and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
I think putting a video with something also, I mean, you can create so much more context and paint a picture a little bit more than just static words. And so I feel like it also allows the chance to just like give away more and more value. And that's the thing, like, I mean, with all of the, I mean, you look at what Alex Hormozy talks about with just like making your free things great so that nobody thinks that your paid things are shit, right? And so
Yeah.
the the giving away great value, there's the how can I help somebody? How much content can I put out? You also kind of have to decide like how much of what I do am I going to give away? But like what's your take on how you decided to build that out, and then maybe where businesses miss the mark in their lead magnets?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm learning this stuff too, right? Like, of course, I coach this, I teach this and stuff like that, but I'm always learning because we're always testing new things. So, what I say today could change in the future. I'll be the like very, very transparent with that. So, content, I try to give away everything. So, like on Instagram and stuff like that, I give pretty much everything away. Same thing with YouTube. But the problem is that it's not, no one can implement it. Not everyone's going to be able to do the best at implementing exactly what I said. And then also for them to piece it all together, it's really hard, right? So it's like, what order and then what YouTube video, what do I do right now, right? So when it comes to content, I think of I'm going to give absolutely everything away. Okay. When it comes to the lead magnet, I don't give everything away in the lead magnet. And the reason for that is that at this stage, when someone's getting the lead magnet, they're a warmer lead, and they're like, man, I saw all your content. This is great. I need help for X, Y, and Z. So then they would opt into a lead magnet, and it wouldn't give them the full solution. Typically, it will give them the steps, right? Like, here's how to do it, or not even how. Here's what to do, and it doesn't always include the exact how. So just for like an example, one of the first video sales letters I ever did was for like when I was a PT. We did it for runners with knee pain, and I made a video sales letter covering that. My first step in there was, hey, it's like, I'm talking about video free training type lead magnet. It's also called a video sales letter. But typically it starts off with like the hook or promise, hey, in this, you're going to learn this thing. You're going to learn how to do this thing. And then you typically tell a story, and it could be like how you discovered this thing, and also kind of showing that you've worked with people and gotten results. So it's like, hey, I'm going to teach you this thing. My name is Matt. Here's how I discovered this thing, telling your personal story, and then sharing other client wins. And then you typically cover like 3 to 5 big crucial steps that somebody has to take to get results. So for that video sales letter, the first step was, step one is I recommend everyone to get a personalized assessment, AKA an eval, right? So I was like, I didn't say here's how to give yourself an eval to figure out what is wrong with your knee. Of like, let's figure out if this is meniscus or this. We're going to go through this entire thing. I kind of left it vague, and I was like, step one is to always get a personalized assessment. And then I would say, hey, you could try all the exercises that are posted on my Instagram. You could try all the exercises that are posted on my YouTube, but I found that most people are doing the wrong exercise, or they don't know what's wrong. They're just going to shoot in the dark. So you want to make sure you have a personalized assessment. And typically here are things that personal assessment includes, range of motion, strength test, like kind of like you're kind of just like briefly telling people what it is that they need to do. And then you kind of can close it off with like telling a story. Like, let me tell you a story. So Brenda came to me, and she was following all my Instagram stuff, blank, blank, and blank for 6 months, and wasn't seeing any results. After her first session, we got her clear on X, Y, and Z. She then did blank, right? So you're like, your first step is talking more about what they have to do, and then showing that when someone did it, they got results. And then you jump to the next step, which is like, all right, now that once we've gotten a personal assessment, the second thing we want to do is we want to improve your range of motion. Okay. And generally this is what it can look like. But I'm not telling people here's the exact protocol to do. And then I would continue that entire process for like the 3 to 5 steps that I laid out. And that gives people clarity though, because most people just need the clarity of what steps do I take, but they don't need the exact, like, here's how to do it. And then if you do it the right way, people are like, I want to do those 3 to 5 steps. You're clearly the person for me. Let's do this. So that's typically like a free training lead magnet style that works well. And even if you do like a free PDF, you can still have elements of that inside. And there just needs to be sections in there where it's like, you need an eval. And at the end, you just, promote the eval, right? Or you need this. And they're like, well, how do I get this? Oh, you get that from the next step, which you'll be taking with us or with me.
I think that's great. I mean, you provide value, and also in the process, I mean, you're developing trust because you've given. And so I think that's fantastic. Well, hey, I mean, as we wrap up, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast. We've talked about all things content, systems, automation, diving into lead magnets, and really just business in general, especially this day and age where so much of it is like digital content, digital marketing, all of that. So thank you for being here again. I'm going to make sure that your lead magnet is linked in the description box, but where's the best place for anybody to find you?
Yeah, I would say Instagram's probably the best place. Instagram and YouTube. Like if you like long form. So if you're listening to this podcast and you like long form, I mean, one of my things that I like to do is I like to listen to YouTube videos while I drive. So I have a lot of YouTube videos out. And if you're interested in getting online space, great. Even if you just want to hear more about like the marketing strategy that we talked about today, or I post on Twitter and then that repurpose that, which you could absolutely use even if you don't want to go in the online space. Yeah, absolutely. Go check it out. That's YouTube. And they're both Instagram and YouTube is at Dr. Matt Shiver, Dr. Matt Shiver.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody should definitely go check out Matt's content. And again, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Caitlin, for having me. It was so fun.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.